Hey there, I'm Mr. C. Today, I'm going to teach you about edges. And when you're learning about edges, you're probably working on geometry, and an edge is something that's in a three-dimensional shape, right? You can only really feel an edge in the real world. So I'm going to show you some edges on the computer, but you won't be able to reach out and touch them. You want to feel the edge of something. You have to get something that's real, something in the three-dimensional world. Now, Mr. C, why on earth do we want to learn about edges? Well, there's a few good reasons. It's going to help you to talk about shapes, right? Specifically three-dimensional shapes. You're learning about geometry. You're going to want to talk about the different shapes that include edges, and then also building stuff. Think about carpenters and architects. They take ideas and put them onto paper and then take those designs and create things in real life in 3 dimensions. And understanding about edges and knowing how to talk about edges is very important when you're doing that kind of work. So let's go ahead and see it. All right, now I'm going to show you some shapes that in the real world have edges on them. You might say, oh, it's so hard to understand, Mr. C. You're showing us flat, 2-dimensional shapes and you want us to think about the real world. Yes, but I picked 2 shapes that you might be familiar with. A pyramid, right? You know, like in Egypt with the sphinxes, they have the pyramids that have the flat bottoms and then they slowly get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier and have a point on top, right? This is a pyramid, and this is a cube. Everyone's rolled dice, right? Or at least most people I know have rolled dice, right? If you have just your regular 6-sided dice, well, that's a cube. That's 3-dimension, and there's edges all over it. Now, an edge is where 2 faces come together. So look, here's one face of the pyramid over here, and here's another face of the pyramid over here, and here's an edge where they come together. And if you were to run your finger along this, you might be able to imagine what that felt like, right? It's not really sharp, but you can definitely feel it. It points out, right? Because it's where 2 things come together and they form an angle. So look, here's another one over here. Now look, in the back of the pyramid, there's another one. We can't see it, but they made dotted lines to help us imagine it. And then look, there's 4 more edges along the bottom of the pyramid. Did I miss one? I think I did. Look, here's one over here too. Okay, it's where that face in the back meets that face on the right-hand side. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 edges near or around the top of the pyramid, and then 4 edges that make up the base. 4 and 4 equals 8. A pyramid has 8 edges. Big pyramids and little pyramids, they all have 8 edges. They may be really long edges if it's a really big pyramid, but they all have 8. Now, let's talk about a cube or a dice, right? Let's trace the edges that we can see on this dice. Well, we know there's 4 edges on top because that's where these 2 faces come together. Here's another edge here because that's where these 2 faces come together. Now there's the face in the back that we can't see, and that meets the face on top right here. And then there's another face we can't see in the back that meets this face up here, right? Here's another edge, right? Imagine you're holding that dice. You can really see and feel those edges that are around the top. Well, there's 4 more on the bottom. 1, right? 2, and then there's one we can't see. Comes in that way and then back out that way, right? Because there's 4 edges on top. Well, same shape on the bottom, 4 edges on the bottom. And let's not forget the edges on the side. Look, there's edges that come around the side. If you were holding a dice in your hand, you could turn it and see it from all the sides that there's edges that run down the sides. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more in the back. 4. So in a cube, we have 4 edges on top, 4 edges on the bottom, and 4 edges that run along the sides. That makes 12 edges altogether, right? I hope this helped you have a concept of what an edge is, right? And I hope that using shapes that you're familiar with really helps you to understand it. I want you to go try to find a pyramid, find a cube, pick it up, and really feel where those faces come together to really understand what the edge of a 3-dimensional figure is. I will see you next time.